China's arsenal may reach 1,000 warheads by 2030, though it is still smaller than the US and Russia. CIPRI emphasizes that all nuclear-armed states, including India and Pakistan, are pursuing multiple warheads on ballistic missiles, enhancing their potential destructive capabilities. China's nuclear expansion, though, reflects a broader trend of modernization among nuclear-armed states. The geopolitical landscape remains tense, with significant implications for global security and nuclear deterrence strategies. China is expanding its nuclear power and is on track to become an atomic superpower alongside the United States as well as Russia. Right now, China has 500 nuclear warheads. That's according to CIPRI. But the Pentagon estimates China will roughly quadruple its stockpile by the year 2035. This quiet build-up of China's nuclear arsenal comes as various conflicts continue to rage around the world, including the wars in Ukraine and Gaza. The war in Ukraine has had a negative impact on nuclear arms control talks and has diminished opportunities to break the long-standing deadlock in nuclear arms control and reverse the worrisome trend of nuclear armed states developing and deploying new weapon systems. But this is not just a case of making more warheads, which they are doing. They're also building more advanced nuclear submarines, building new nuclear silos, building more mobile launch vehicles. So basically, this is across-the-board nuclear advancement. China has up to now been much smaller nuclear power than the US and Russia. It's had what it called a minimal deterrent, so that would make it more difficult for countries to contemplate war against China. It had not felt the need to get up to this sort of nuclear superpower levels that we saw the US and Russia reach during the Cold War. Now, basically, that whole landscape is changing because China is closing the gap with the US and with Russia. Many are curious whether Russia is helping China do that. Well, they are so. As per the New York Times, there's this new nuclear reactor from China that could really help them ramp up their nuclear material, and Russia has helped them get that reactor on the verge of being operational. Russia is not providing nuclear weapons to China, but they seem now more willing to cooperate than they were in the past. What's Beijing's justification for why they want to build this nuclear stockpile, though? Well, the US, as you can see in this graph, has been undertaking quite an expensive and extensive nuclear modernization program of its own. And so Beijing's justification could be that, hey, in order to keep pace with the United States, we need to expand our own capabilities and the survivability of our nuclear forces. Then there's the question of whether China will continue to maintain this policy that it has of no first strike, which they say, we only have nuclear weapons as a deterrent. We're not going to move first. We're not going to strike anybody else in the nuclear realm. That's still their policy on their books. But some experts assert that there is an open question of if it came to war with the US over Taiwan, say, would China maintain that policy?